Good afternoon and welcome to another edition of Badass Marketing. I am once again joined by the ever so lovely Angela Dunn. Angela, how are you?
I'm really, really good. How about yourself, Mike?
I can't complain. I could, but nobody would listen, so what's the point?
Yes. So, moving right along.
Moving right along, right? Yeah, let's not even go there. Moving right
So,
along. So, what do we want to talk about today?
I am dying to hear about websites and website design. I mean, don't you think during the pandemic it really changed a lot in the way we respond to people's websites and what ages a website, what makes it effective? I have a friend that says that the very first line of your website is the most important thing in the whole website. And I would love to hear your opinion on all this stuff.
Oh, and I have a couple of them. So,
Maybe 100.
yeah. So I'm gonna, sort of start at the beginning and then just God knows where this will go. But so I'm gonna start with that concept about what that first line is, right? And then like what is it so that when people land on your website that you hook them so that obviously they continue to look and continue to move throughout your website and versus just saying, oh, that's another crappy website and just bouncing off. So in addition to that first line, what I'm really going to talk about is what we consider above the fold, right? So what do
Yes.
you see before you start to scroll? And so this is the first thing that people will experience. That there's a visual aspect to it. There may be some text. There may be that magic line, but it's just what do people experience above the fold, which is when they land on your webpage, what do they experience? And some of the things that for us are tremendously important. There's a lot of things about design. I mean, there's just you can go all over the place. One of the key aspects when we're looking at design, and this is a preference, but we like things clean. And we're big fans of white space. We're big fans of not having too much stuff. And if you've seen of our homepage, we probably don't even follow half this concept because our homepage is just loaded with a ton of stuff. But we do take advantage of white space, and we do take advantage of making sure that above the fold is well used. So, this idea above the fold, before anyone ever scrolls, what do they see? Right. And this is their first impression of you, your company, your website, your, whatever it may be. So this should be clean, neat, and there should be some sort of either visual that is enticing or some sort of that initial line that hooks people. For us, that initial line is really important to convey to people your value proposition. So what is it that you do? What problem do you solve for what audience? Because people want to know, is this for me? Right. So we very much will focus on the value proposition. One of the challenges that we see when we see, we see lots of great websites, but in our opinion, and it's just our opinion, some of the messaging is off. And I'm going to start with something very obvious. When you and I started to work together, and I don't mean to pick on you, but you're in the room, so you're going to receive the brunt of it. You
Pick
opened this
away.
can of worm. You opened
I
this can of worm.
did.
So when you and I first started to work together, what was your URL?
My URL was angeladuns.com.
And what was my reaction to that?
Um, Not favorable.
All right. Do you know why? I
Um,
will agree with you. That
because
was sort of my
it says
reaction, but why?
absolutely nothing about what I do. I mean, it's just
And
my name.
what right? And what else? Give me one more piece if you can.
Well, it doesn't lead into a value proposition or
From a search perspective, what's the problem from a search perspective?
uh, unless they know who I am, they are not going to be using that as a search term. If they
Okay.
are trying to solve a specific problem, their search term is going to be connected to that problem, not to my name.
Right. Okay. So, and again, we're just picking on you because you're in the room, but and we're going to pick on you some more. But so
Oh,
one of the
goody.
first things, exactly right. But one of the first things before we even talk about what your page should look like and all that kind of fun stuff, let's just talk about the naming of your website and your URL. And when you and I first started to work together, I said, Angela, that's an issue because people don't know to look for your name. That's not the keywords that they're going to search. That's not how they search. And there was nothing in it that was indicative of what you provided. So, what is your current URL?
LinkedInbadass.com.
So, what do you do, Angela?
I am a LinkedIn consultant.
You're a LinkedIn badass, right? So we
Yes.
captured
Yes,
that,
I am.
right? So no one has even seen the visual yet. But before they even got that, when we looked at rebranding and sort of, launching a new website, the first thing we did is like, what do you do and how do we capture that? So we went from Angela Dunn's Consulting, was it?
No, it's just angeladuns.com.
Just angeladuns.com. Okay. So we went from
No identifiers
no,
at all.
we didn't even tell them you were consulting. We just said, this is Angela. Good luck, have fun. So we, moved on from that. Like you opened it. So we moved on to that and we moved on to LinkedIn Badass, right? With the idea of, you provide consulting services around personal branding, around businesses who are looking to enhance their LinkedIn profile. So before we even started talking about look and feel, we wanted to look at the URL and sort of understand whether or not it was appropriate. So for us, we start this whole process even before we start the visual, right? So that's one aspect is capturing the right URL so that people can find you and that you're likely going to show up in search. So you do LinkedIn services, it's in your name, it's in your URL. The other thing that we really like about this is now we have some consistency. We see it in your URL, it's going to show up in your content. We're going to make sure we add it to your alt tags, right? So we have consistency so everybody who goes to your website understands that you're about LinkedIn.
Yes.
Right. So there's no doubt in anybody's mind. So the next thing that we're going to do, and we haven't even done any visual yet, right? The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to talk about the value proposition. Right? So that when we start to develop messaging, which will then ultimately feed into the visualization of what your website looks like, we want to understand your value proposition. So what is the problem that you solve for which audience? And what solutions do you offer and what are the value or the benefits that they can expect with working with you? So in your value proposition, what's the unmet need?
The unmet need is developing new business with some kind of ease and consistency.
Okay. What's the problem that most LinkedIn profiles have?
They are completely unclear what it is, what problem they solve.
Okay. So the unmet need is that most LinkedIn profiles, this is not clear what this person's personal branding is. What do they do? What do they solve? Right. So so who is your target audience?
Attorneys and CPAs.
Okay. So you have it. So you're talking about attorneys and CPAs who don't have clear messaging on and branding strategies as it relates to their LinkedIn profile. So
Yes.
what solution do you offer?
I offer them an easy way to add some personal and professional branding and client focus for their profile so that people look at it and say, oh, they serve me. Oh, they solve my problem or not.
And, so problem, target audience, solution, what are the benefits that they can expect once they start to work with you?
It makes it much easier to develop referral relationships because it's very, very clear. who it is they serve and the problem that they solve, and getting some conversations started for them for business development.
And what ultimately are they hoping to get as a result of all of that?
Business,
More business.
referrals.
Right. So, when we look at your value proposition, it's, taking generic, boring LinkedIn profiles of accountants and CPAs and lawyers, providing them some services around LinkedIn profiles for personal branding, messaging, things like that. And as a result, this should lead to increased lead generation and ultimately more business.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So, that line that you said that's so important is we're going to look at the value proposition and make sure that messaging, so people can identify, all right, she works with lawyers and CPAs. So clearly, if I'm a lawyer and a CPA, I want to work with you. If I'm not a lawyer and a CPA, maybe some of your other services are applicable, but, will they self-identify? If you talk about the problem of, just having a generic LinkedIn profile, they will resonate like, okay, my profile clearly is not generating leads. It's not generating warm leads, cold leads, or any other temperature of leads. It's not. So they will recognize the pain point that you are talking about with their unmet needs. Based on, they self-identify that they're in the group of clients that you work with, they have the need that you've identified, then this will generate interest. Like, okay, I could use that. My business could definitely use more lead generation from LinkedIn, and apparently my profile sucks. So I'm going to call Angela and she's going to help me with this, right? So we want to convey that messaging above the fold, right? Can you condense, and we've talked about this in other episodes, can you condense your value proposition down to one statement, right? So that it's a very clear message. Here's the problem, here's who we serve, here's what we do, and here's what you can expect. So that is what we're in our, we haven't even had a single graphics, a single sort of discussion about colors or anything. All that we're doing is making sure that the basic messaging, which everything else is going to evolve from, we get that right. So for us, when it comes to web design, it's all about the messaging, right? Making sure that the right message is resonating with your target audience and that it addresses pain points that they generally have. How do you differentiate? There must be other LinkedIn providers on the web. How do you differentiate? No, there are no other. I am the only one.
Right around 2000 in the Bay Area alone.
And how are you able to differentiate from that crowd?
Well, a lot of people still have the misconception that a LinkedIn consultant is going to help job seekers, and I do not. That is not my function. I assist with business development. That is my main function, is really helping people get their ducks in a row so that they can grease the wheels for a lot more business development, relationship building, relationship nurturing, being clear about your messaging, content strategy, whatever it is that keeps you top of mind, those types of activities that feed into business development. So I differentiate myself by saying that I help you build your business using LinkedIn. I'm not going to help you get a job. I'm not going to completely and solely do personal branding. I'm about business development. That's my main focus.
Okay.
And
So
we've had lots of discussions about this.
So with your permission, can I share your webpage?
Yes, please.
Okay. So the good and the bad, because we're going to go through your webpage and talk about it. Okay.
No, I
So
bring it on.
So this is your homepage. This is what we see above the fold. Okay. What do you see when you look at this?
It's a challenge. I like the unlocking business opportunities on LinkedIn. That I
Okay.
think is a strong statement.
Okay.
Um, the visual could definitely be better, and when I really think about it, it really probably should be some version of a photo of me someplace above the fold because I'm the one they're going to work with and they need to develop a relationship with me. Or they need
Okay.
to see themselves. And that's probably, if they're an attorney, that they might identify with this.
Which is, I think, why we kind of looked at the image that we did use
Yeah,
was that. Um, do you want me to tell you what I see?
please do. I'm too close. I can't tell you anything.
I am really concerned that the image of your logo is broken.
Yes, I am concerned about that too. I haven't looked at my website in a long time.
Yeah,
That's,
which is an important point. You should actually pull up your website. Not only should you pull up your website, you should pull up your website on various browsers and various formats, because one of the other things that is important is we're looking at this on a desktop, but we could also um, change and look at it on mobile to make sure that it is well,
yes.
that it shows up how it presents. And you want to make sure you look at both. And you do want to occasionally visit your website, because the last time you and I looked at your website, the link was working. I'm going to put a disclaimer in here. I don't manage and host your website, so I'm not taking responsibility for the broken link. That's it.
Yes.
But you need to go back and
You're
figure
off
out
the hook.
why
Yes.
that link is broken, because obviously
Immediately.
we
Yes.
we do not
No
want to
brand
present a broken link.
recognition there.
Yeah, not great, right?
No. Nope.
Yeah, and so I just pulled you up on mobile as well, and for whatever reason, there's something wrong with the image because it doesn't show up on image on mobile either.
Oh,
So
that's so interesting.
one of the things, and this is not necessarily a bad thing, is go back and look at your website occasionally, because things do break, things do happen. So but above the fold, beyond the fact that I got stuck on the reality of the missing logo, what we have is, do you want to be, you have the challenge, do you want to be a LinkedIn badass? There's not anyone on the planet that's gonna say, no, I'd rather just be some, yet another person on LinkedIn whose profile is not optimized. So, we
One
asked them
of
a
the 1
question,
billion.
one of the more than 1 billion, right? More than that. But they're so we give them this challenge, and then we tell them what we're going to do. We're going to unlock business opportunities on LinkedIn. Right. So this is what we see above the fold. I think it's clear. I think I'm not, I think the messaging is fine because you're targeting professionals. So we have a picture of a professional, and he's on his phone, which assuming means he's looking at LinkedIn profile. Right. We'll make some assumptions, but and then we have some, if you want to talk to me, fine. If you want to learn more about me, there's the about me. So those are some of the opportunities that we have. And this is all conveyed before anyone's even moved, right? We haven't scrolled. We don't know what's below. We assume there's more below because there's a scroll bar on the side. But this is the first impression we get. Do I want to be a LinkedIn badass? Of course I do. So, do I want to unlock business opportunities with LinkedIn? Yes, I do. So these two things, should engage folks that, if they're interested in doing either one of them. If they're not, they're going to leave your website, but hopefully they're interested enough to, to want to learn more.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So let's scroll and see what we see. So we're getting into some of the pain points. You want more business, you don't have the time. What can we do, right? You're talking about making it simple. And then you also bring in some information for your target audience, which are the attorneys and CPAs, and that 88% of lawyers are using LinkedIn, so they should too. And folks are also looking for lawyers on LinkedIn, right?
Right.
So we sort of get into a few more stats. You have only one chance to make a first impression. So you need to make sure that your website is optimized. And then you start to bring in some of your clients. This is sort of proof of concept or social proof. These folks have hired you and stuff like that. And then there's some additional testimonial, and then how they can reach you, and then if they want to sign up for your news. So this is your homepage, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So that gives you a little bit of an idea. But so we have something compelling above the fold. We have additional information below and means for them to understand what you're offering. We have a broken link, but we'll work on that. We'll take care of that.
Today.
Today. Exactly. But this is just also a reminder. You need to check out your website now and then. I was playing around with our website last night and managed to completely break it.
Oh boy.
Thank God for what we call backups, because I just had to do a restore and I lost maybe about 2 or 3 hours worth of work that I had done since the backup, but we were able to restore that information. So
Wow.
since we picked on you, we'll go ahead and we will pick on me and see what we come up with here. I'm going to stop the share for a moment, and then let me just cue this up. So your job for today after our call is to go back and figure out with your host provider why it is that your logo is filtered.
And I just had a discussion with her this morning. I wish I would have known that ahead of time. Thanks for looking at my website.
We're here for. So this is us, right? So we have a lot more information going on above the fold. We have a weekly podcast with the ever so lovely Angela Duns, and we feature that right on top. And we feature that with the scroll bar, so you know what the topics are. But before we even get to that, for us, as I mentioned, we're all about sort of clean white space. So, when you look at our homepage, how many colors are you seeing?
3. And it's kind of almost Art Deco. I like it. It's bold.
Yeah. Okay. So, plenty of white space, and then everything hopefully complements each other, right? So we have red, white, and black. It is consistent with the badass marketing images and the graphics we use there. If you notice, we've avoided in this particular case with the badass marketing podcast, we've avoided using clip art or using stock photos. We have a consistent brand template that we use. So the topics change, but they look and feel. So people begin to recognize the brand, and the brand is the same color as it is in our logo. And so hopefully there's some consistency. So when they start to see these colors, start to see some of this imagery, they start to recognize it as us. What is our tagline?
Build, grow, convert. And I would love to see that line underneath your logo, much bigger and bolder.
Okay.
Unleashing your online potential. It's a good tagline, Mike.
So based on the feedback, we'll look at maybe increasing the size of that. But that's sort of begins to tell people who we are and what we do. We're about unleashing your online potential, whether it's building a new website, whether it's creating content, whether it's helping you with a podcast. Our job is to build, grow, and convert, right? So build from the build perspective, we have building websites, launching social media. The grow is using those tools to grow your audience. And then ultimately our job is to get you new customers or to convert. So, our premise has always been build, grow, and convert to unleash your online potential. Okay. So we talked about keeping it simple, right?
Yes. And
Okay,
I do love the tagline and the part after it. The build, grow, convert by itself is super strong. And then you differentiate even more by saying unleashing your online potential.
And one of the interesting things, our logo used to be bigger on the homepage. However, what happened, and the reason why it's not, is our mobile version, when we had the bigger logo, like the logo would bleed over. So, one of the things we adjusted this so that both are
For
consistent.
mobile. Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing we could do is we could build separate websites, one a mobile version and one, and increase the size. But, for a compromise, we went with smaller because it accommodated both formats. So that's one of the reasons why it is a little bit smaller. And then, but hopefully what we've also been able to do is, while there is a fair amount of information above the fold, hopefully it's not overwhelming, right? So we have sort of these podcasts sort of scrolling through, but the imaging and the messaging is pretty sort of clean and succinct, hopefully.
Lots of white space.
Yep. However, if they start to scroll, then we offer a whole lot of information to folks. We explain about us on the homepage, tell us what we do, what our goals are. We have some of our recent posts here. We have the opportunity to sign up for a newsletter or join us on LinkedIn, which we hope you would do at Badass Marketing. And then what is our focus? Our focus is business planning, cannabis, digital health, and startups. So those are the types of, you work with lawyers and accountants. We work in the digital health field. We work with cannabis dispensaries and other type of industry businesses. We work with startups, something else, right? In business planning. So we do business planning, stuff like that. We provide, this is a list of our services, and then our sort of articles related to our services. Shopify development. We focus on web accessibility and making sure that folks can see and read things on the website. We've provided, you have testimonials. We've opted for use cases instead. To give you an example of some of our work and some of our projects and how we have helped those folks. We've gone with use cases. We do have testimonials other places, but our focus has been on use cases. Make sure there's clear information on how to get a hold of us and how to reach us and when we're available. And then at the end is sort of a little bit about our philosophy. It was never about building websites. But this gives you a sense of us. And then if you drill down, there's tons of information that you can find. But the above the fold, we've tried really hard, with the exception of having a small tagline, apparently, of keeping it clean and neat and keeping it, color wise consistent for branding purposes. And these logos and these images repeat across other channels, whether it be social media. It shows up in our signature line, in our emails, right? So we use this branding consistently to make sure that, people begin to recognize this.
Well, and all the important information is on this front page. You don't have to go anywhere else.
Right. And but there's plenty if you want to learn more about what build means, what grow means.
Yes.
But, the question is, is the organization of the above the fold compelling? Right? Is there enough information to tell you what it is without overwhelming you? It gives you a little bit of a sense of us. So those are the types of things when we talk about the above the fold. Tells you who we are through our tagline, gives you some insights based on our podcast history, and then it gets into the about us. We present the about us actually on the homepage versus burying it in its own page.
Very nice.
So this gives you a sense of, the different things that we focus on. But, you had asked some questions about like what makes a website look dated, what makes a website, what we think is challenging. You know what I mean? So, we do use clip art and we do use stock photos at times. We try to be careful when we're using those so that we don't overuse them. But, we produce a tremendous amount of content, so we do. But if you notice, above the fold, there is no stock photos. It's all specific to us, right? So one of the things that we try to be careful with is using stock photos above the fold, because the worst, I can't tell you how many times I've gone to a website. I'm like, oh, I know that picture because it's on Unsplash or it's on iStock. Where you recognize that, and it's clearly not that business, and it's clearly not, anything directly related to what they do. It's just stock photo. So one of the things that we do from a branding perspective is we make sure that there's no stock photos or images or clip art or anything like that above the fold. We do use stock, I will admit we do use stock photos in our blog posts and things like that, because we have something like 6,000 blog posts at this point, so there's just no way that we're going to have that much original,
right.
We spend enough time producing the original content. We don't have the time to go do photo shoots for every time we produce a blog post, so we do use it there. We will admit that, but above the fold there is no stock imagery. It's all unique, and it is used to reinforce our brand.
And I think it is more than worth the investment to get an original photo into that space.
Yeah, I mean, what you see here is our original logo and and then you see this template that we've developed for our podcast, so that there's consistency in the branding, right? It's be very hard to miss badass marketing on the front page, this blog post. So if you haven't figured out, Angela and I work together.
What a giveaway.
What a giveaway. So those things like that. The other things that we sort of try to avoid, so we talked about the naming, understanding e-commerce. We're obviously about online businesses. We're obviously about e-commerce, which is selling online, whether it be services, products, whatnot. So it's understanding e-commerce. It's in our name. Our tagline further cements that by clarifying unleashing your online potential. So there's a lot of sort of reinforcement of we do online stuff, obviously. Other things that we sort of want to avoid or look at, I was looking at a website earlier, and it's one of those, like, clearly this website was built 15-20 years ago, and it just has a look and feel that makes you realize, and I'm not going to show it, but like, you just know by the template. So we probably revamp the look and feel of our website. From a branding perspective, we probably do it every couple of years. From a layout perspective, we probably do it a couple of times a year. We move things around. We prioritize stuff. But you want to sort of look at your brand and look at your website. Like, does it feel fresh? Does it feel new? Right? Does it feel contemporary? Those types of things.
Yes.
So does it feel aged? Can we recognize the stock photos? Which is a challenge, especially when you're like, oh, I know where that came from. And we're in the industry, so we're a little more sensitive to that. Like, we're looking at stock photos all day long, but we'll notice that. Can I find, the other thing that's frustrating is if you get to a website and just the layout and the user experience isn't great, right? So, like, how do I get a hold of these folks? Can I find the information on how to contact them? Is the messaging clear? Can I navigate around it? Are there broken links? I go to websites all the time, and there's broken, or as an exception, broken links on the homepage, right?
Yeah. No,
it doesn't go where it's supposed to go. It doesn't, and what I can tell you is I was working on a project this morning, and I went to their LinkedIn profile, and the LinkedIn profile was fine. However, the link in their profile to their business page was broken. Right. So, one of the things that's really important, like, you spend all this time designing something and building it, and then you're trying to direct them to go somewhere, and they can't get there because your links are broken. So you want to make sure, not only do you want to visit your site on a regular basis, but also make sure that the links are working. We have a tendency to move things around, and when we move things around, that means we probably broke the link. So we will continually look for those broken links, and we've used tools to do that, to ensure that people can navigate through our site. Google hates it when they find broken links. People hate it when they find broken links. So to make sure that you don't have a bunch of broken links, especially on your homepage, shouldn't be anywhere else, but it's really crucial on your homepage to make sure that the links aren't broken.
Yeah, so I have one question. Should
Sure.
there be contact information on the bottom of every single page on your website?
We so when you go to ours, we provide the contact information here in the sidebar. So that's on every page that has the sidebar, and then we provide a so we provide that on every page. If you're not going to do that, at a minimum, it either should be a menu item or it should be in your footer. We don't put it in our footer because we put it on the sidebar, and it's there on every single sidebar. There's nothing more frustrating than trying to find, like, I want to do business with you. I'm trying really hard to do business and I can't find you. Right. So, don't make people, that's the user experience. Don't make people work to try to find your contact information. Don't bury it. Put it in the menu, put it in the sidebar, put it someplace that people can find it. Which that's very important. It's just accessible and you can find it.
And give them a variety of ways to get a hold of you. Some people are more likely to pick up the phone. Some people are going to send you an email. Some people want to just immediately sign up for your newsletter or whatever, or check you out on LinkedIn. You've got all that stuff in the same place.
Yeah. And so, you can join our newsletter here. You can email us and call us here. You can find us on LinkedIn. So on the homepage, we provide a variety of ways to get in touch with us. And that's, we try to make sure that that's very clear.
And you put your hours of operation right on the bottom of the homepage.
We do. So
that's
if you call
fantastic.
Me on Saturday, yeah, if you
You're
call
not
me
going
on
to pick up the
Saturday and I
phone.
don't respond, it's because we're not open. If you call me on Monday between 10 and 6 and I don't answer the phone and we're doing something, but we will get back to you. But this is sort of give you a reasonable expectation of when we're likely in the office.
Yep.
And that's really important. And it's really, this is less important for us because we're an online service, but we have clients that are retailers. Brick and mortar, and it's important that that information, people want to know when you're open and how they can get a hold of you.
Yes, very important.
I'm going to stop this share. I'm going to show you one more website because it's not a traditional website as far as services, but it's actually a Shopify store. So let's pull that one. So what do you think these guys do?
They do tequila.
Tequila. Yeah. So I mean, so this is a Shopify store that we built for them. It's one of our clients, and obviously they're a tequila shop. And their tagline is San Francisco's finest tequila, mezcal, soto, racilia, and bacanora. So they sell a variety of agave products, including tequila and mezcal. So again, this is the information that is presented above the fold, right, before you even go anywhere. So this is, it says shop our collections. This is a store. Clearly, this is a store. It is about tequila, mezcal, right? So we have all that information conveyed. We have some of the branding when you can see sort of the front of the store. And then, depending on what type of agave spirit in our menu, you can look at mezcals, you can look at tequilas, you can look at other options within our store. But this is what we would see above the fold. Again, I think you can recognize some of our white space, right? We have some imagery, right? Clearly, this imagery is not a stock photo because it's the front of the store.
Yes,
that kind of thing.
Great recognition.
Right. It helps people when they show up. They're like, oh, this is the right place. So we have, and this is what we're seeing above the fold. Okay. There is an opportunity to chat with us above the fold. So like if you have a question or you have anything you want to ask us.
Which is a fabulous feature.
Right. And then we also, within that feature, we look at some frequently asked questions like, can I track my order? and then, we can do that. So before they even talk to somebody, if there's some question, we will identify some of the questions that they're most likely going to want to know. So we have a chat feature above the fold. We have some of the branding above the fold. One of the things that I don't think you're seeing, and I don't really know how to show it to you in a share, is if you were to look at the tab, we have this information in the favicon. So like each one of our tabs has this logo, and then also has the store information and tagline. So if you're looking at the tabs, but that's covered by our Zoom information. So this is what they see above the fold. Hopefully this is enough to convey them to want to do more. So they have the option of clicking and moving directly into the products that are available. Again, what we tried to do here was to be very clean, very neat. Every product is the same size, so that there's sort of this uniformity, like there's not one big and one little, and believe me, that was a lot of work.
Yes.
So these are hopefully just a nice, clean, white space background presentation of the different products that are available within the store. And then we also, here we'll let you know, like, well, this product's not available. So we try from a transparency perspective, let you know what's in stock, what's not in stock, what's coming in stock. We have some specials here, if you buy this, save here, that kind of thing. And then not unlike your webpage, we've included testimonials. So they have a 4.9 rating on Google. This is hubby liked it, that kind of stuff. So we have the testimonials. The footer, we have our hours, right? And at the top of the page, we have a phone number. So the contact information is at the top of every page, and our hours at the bottom of every page.
Very nice.
Go back to our homepage. Yeah, go back to our homepage. This is who we are. There's a little bit of our about, and then we feature certain collections. So this is a mezcal. You can sign up for our newsletter. These are some tequilas, some high-end tequilas that are available. And then, for those who are looking for an agave spirit that's sort of not your traditional tequila, we have mezcal, soto, Versilia, and bacanora, to sort of explore the range of agave offerings that we have. And then we have a club and some promotional, and again, we come back to our testimonials, our Google rankings, and close out with our hours and whatnot.
Beautiful.
So, for us, keeping that, the presentation above the fold is crucial. And what we've hoped to do in these three examples, clearly with Angela's website, she's a LinkedIn professional. She will help you find and generate leads. That's conveyed. We are online marketers and online builders, whether it's e-commerce or websites and stuff like that. So ours is about build, grow, and convert, maximizing your online experience. And then one of our clients, which we just demonstrated, this is a Shopify store that we've customized, and continuing with the theme of having white space and cleanliness, and how we've organized it, and what we present above the fold.
All consistent with the whole value proposition immediately.
This is who we are, this is what we do, and this is what you can expect. If you want, we sell tequila, and here it is.
I was talking to a digital marketer last week, and he told me that people make a decision about your website in about 25 seconds. I mean,
it's probably even faster than that. Yeah.
They'll look at it for 5 to 10 seconds, but they really make that decision in the first 25 seconds. That was so shocking to me.
And the thing is, it's, how they're making that decision, you just don't know, right? It's not, like they'll latch onto something small, and like that either irritates them or not, or they just love it, right? So, if something's broken, if something doesn't present, they're like, or, and what we have, I don't know if anybody realized this in watching this presentation, but we launched, and I've launched these, like I stopped, launched them and showed you, but what you would also experience is the load time, right?
Yes.
So all these websites load, within 1 or 2 seconds. So, the other thing that there's nothing more horrific than visiting a website and watch it spin. And the testimonial or the statistic is if they wait more than 3 seconds, they're going to leave your site. So if it takes more than 3 seconds to load your site, people will leave.
Good luck.
Yeah. So the other part of the sort of overall website experience is user experience, right? Can they navigate it? Does it load quickly?
Yes.
Right? Because those are all part of the aspect of your user experience beyond just the look and feel of it, right? You may have a beautiful website, and we know many clients that have, beautiful websites, but when you go there, it takes them, 10 seconds to load. And like, yeah, I'm not reading. I have better things to do at my time, apparently. So no one ever gets to see the beautiful website because it takes too long to load.
Right.
So we want to make sure that there is, that the website has, a fast response time, and make sure that people aren't waiting to see that beautiful content.
Right. And can I find what I'm looking for quickly?
Can you find
Easily.
it? Like above the fold, we have our phone number here on here twice. So we have it at the top, and then we repeat it again. Like if you want to get a hold of
Yep.
us, call us. You know what I mean? Like, so we make sure that you have that information right in front of you. That you don't have to go looking for it. It's right there. Give us a call. If you don't want to call us, you can chat with us. So we put all those contact information above the fold so that we make it easy to reach us.
And you can go right into the collection immediately.
And you can see that's how fast the collection loaded. Right? So it didn't spin. You didn't see a wheel. You scroll down. There's plenty, and then we have 77 pages of stuff. Again, they all load, right? Got some nostalgia or stuff like that. But page speed is really, and then we give them options like, so if you want to shop by price, if you want to shop by what's new, you can shop alphabetically, you can shop new to old. So this tells you what just came into the store. We just added, some Nivolans and stuff like that. So we give them options on, to slice and dice the information so that they can find it. And then there's
if they have
always
go ahead.
search function. I was going to say, and then also, which I think
Yes.
is buried behind us, there you go, is the search function, right? So that, if you're looking for something in particular, what Cascanas do you have? So here's Cascanas. I'm like, oh, I want the still strength Blanco. Right. So we provide search. And again, you can see how fast that loads. The other thing that's tremendously important if you are an e-commerce store is whether or not, how smooth is the checkout process? How much information do you collect? Like, do you go to a website and they ask you to fill out, 30 lines of information? Like, I'm not doing that. You know what I mean? So you have to get enough information to conduct whatever the transaction is, whether it's contact us or buy or whatever. But you want to make sure that it's relatively easy to do, whether it's easy to check out, because part of the user experience is the ability to navigate through the site and use the site. So in this case, to make purchases.
Yes. Awesome. It's beautiful.
What other questions do you have about website design?
Well, that whole design piece is a really big deal. The information is essential, but how important do you think the design is? It's really, in my experience as a solo, it's a little bit difficult to find somebody who is really meticulous about the messaging and really good at the design aspect as well, and good at the technical part on the back end.
Yeah, so I mean, I think they're all important pieces. They're all part of the customer experience, right? The aesthetics of the website and the visual of the website is going to contribute to the overall user experience. What I would say, whether it's content, visuals, or anything else, you can have a beautiful website, but if it doesn't function, it doesn't matter. So you have to find a balance between all of them. Because at the end of the day, if they're coming to our website, we want them to do something. We either, we may be sharing information such as your website so that and what we want is them to contact us, or to hire us, or we may be trying to sell something and we want to make sure we present the information in a presentable form, and then it's easy for them to check out. If it's a really beautiful website, but you can't navigate it, who cares?
Yes.
If you can navigate it, but it's ugly, that's not good either. So you have to sort of take all of them into consideration, and there are often trade-offs. Like it can be, if the design gets too heavy, it may slow down the website. I know
Yes.
that a lot of people will lead with a video when you launch, right? But that has a tendency to slow down the
Yes.
website. So you
Lawyers
just have,
seem to be very fond of having that intro video.
yeah. I mean, we had those. We had a lawyer who like just loved their video. They just loved their video, and like, it was a huge video. It took up a tremendous amount of bandwidth. It made the website load slow, and we're like, really, does it have to be at the top of the homepage? And they're like, yes, it has to be there. We have, so that was a case where the customer's preference won. It may or may not have been our recommendation. We did what we could to optimize it, however we could, to speed it up, and not to change the speed of the video itself, but to speed up the loading of the web page. But they were very adamant that they wanted to have this image in the background that was actually a video, despite the fact that it slowed down the website. Again, design, content, there are certain trade-offs, for end user experience and usability. It can be a very beautiful video, but if it doesn't, if it compromises user experience or stuff like that. The other thing that I've seen with videos, and this will be my final point on videos, is making sure that the messaging in the video is clear, because sometimes we get really artistic with our videos, and they're beautiful looking videos, and we have no idea. Like this client that we had, it was a video of waves on the beach, and you'd be very hard pressed to get the messaging from waves on the beach to this lawyer. So visually it was pretty, but I never quite figured out the messaging behind the waves to what this person did. So,
And
but it looked nice.
what I'm hearing these days is, if I cannot connect your business to whatever the visuals are, it sort of breaks a piece of our brain and we're out quickly.
Well, the thing is, one of the biggest sort of faux pas when it comes to the website is sort of like the whole thing we talked about with like naming your website after yourself. It's like, okay, I still don't know what you do. So you have this lovely video of the ocean, of waves crashing on the ocean, and I have no idea what, and because they're enamored with this video, they've made it take up most of the real estate above the fold. So like we don't even have the messaging, right? But we do have this lovely video, and we can't figure out what they do, right? Until we start to scroll, and we may not be compelled to sort of like, okay, that wasn't what I was looking for. I'm not looking for the ocean. I'm looking for a lawyer. So,
Right. There's a disconnect there.
there is a disconnect. So we want to, again, you have to balance content, usability, search, and aesthetics. It still needs to look nice, it still needs to be pretty, but it has to be found, because it doesn't matter if you have a pretty website if nobody can find it. So obviously, we would, in addition to the visuals, we're going to make sure that there's SEO and search, and we're going to make sure that the content and the messaging resonate, and that there are keywords that people use to search for you so that you're found, those types of objectives. So in the web world, we're all about trying to like bring all those pieces together to optimize the experience.
So primarily, can they find you? Number two, do they know what you do? And number three, is the user experience seamless?
Um, There, yes. And then the other thing that I'm going to add to that is, did it meet their expectations?
Ah,
Okay. And what I mean by that is, and this really is probably your crowd, right? Because what I mean is, like, I have a certain expectation of what a legal law firm's website should look like,
or CPA.
or a CPA, right? I don't want these people to be creative. I don't want these people to be old and stodgy and, structured,
Credible.
credible. So, if you get all avant-garde on your legal website and you have waves crashing in the ocean, like, really, I'm not sure that's instilling the confidence that I'm looking for when I want to hire a lawyer. So,
Yes.
sometimes when we're looking at design, it's like, well, is this consistent with the industry, and is this consistent with, what they're trying to convey as a business? They can be very contemporary, can look very beautiful, but if it sort of undermines the, this is what I expect to see in a legal law firm, those types of
Right.
things. So sometimes that will color the design as well. As like, I tend to want legal law firms websites to be somewhat traditional, and to be, somewhat, um, law firm like. I don't know what that means,
Well,
but
and straightforward on their practice area and who they serve.
right. Clear information, and consistent with what I would expect from a law firm, the ability to reach them, the ability to, contact information, that type of stuff. But what's interesting is, depending on the nature of your business, some businesses will use their website to drive traffic, to create awareness. And then other businesses will use the website as confirmation, right? I think that a lot of lawyers will
We're
use their
legit.
website for confirmation. We're legit. Here's our website. It presents and it meets the expectations of what you were looking for. So it really is going to depend on your audience and how they find you. When I look for a lawyer, which hopefully I don't do that often, but we do fair enough. I'm going to call someone and say, make a referral. And then, I'm going to check out the website once someone's made a referral. So, I'm not going to Google and like, find me a lawyer. That's, some industries, it doesn't work that way. Folks are more likely to use word of mouth or network referring, those other sources to find these people. But I will look at their website to sort of verify that, they're legit, that, they, it conveys learn some additional information. Maybe I'll look at their bio, that type of stuff. So sometimes the website's purpose is to be confirmation of your expectations. And it's
Yes.
important in the design aspect that, if there are certain expectations within industry, that your business meets them.
Yes. Fantastic. Great overview.
Any other thoughts or concerns or questions before we wrap it up?
No, no, I think that was some really good information for people to chew on if they're going through an update, or if they're starting from scratch, or just reviewing what they've got.
Yeah, I mean, so to quickly recap, so aesthetically, it needs to be an attractive website. It needs to be visually pleasing, right? We want to make sure that the information is clear, it's presented, that your messaging is conveyed in a way that people understand what you do, and that you don't leave them guessing as to what you do. That means we're probably going to capture some of the keywords. We want to make sure the user experience is consistent with that aesthetic, right? So you have a nice looking website, but we want to make sure it also works well. Can you be found on search? Can you navigate through, reasonably navigate through the website and find things and look for things and how to contact us? Does the website load quickly, and can you navigate through it fast? If you're going through a checkout process, is it, relatively easy? Is it clear? Is it confusing? All those pieces, they all need to sort of work together in order to have a good web experience, or have a good website experience.
Right. Yep. Great.
So,
Well, and what are we going to talk about next time, Mike?
You
To
tell me.
be determined.
To be determined, much easier, because this way, if we can't make up our mind between, you don't want to spend 5 minutes listening to us trying to make up our minds. So to be determined what our next topic is, but I can assure you that it'll be something compelling and something that hopefully you'll find useful. If you found this useful, hopefully like us, comment. If there's something you'd like us to talk about that we haven't reached or talked about yet, by all means, leave us a comment below and we will be happy to consider that. Angela, always a pleasure. We look forward to seeing you next week. And everybody, from Badass Marketing to you, user
Thanks
experience,
for listening.
aesthetics, and just clear messaging. That's all you need.
Awesome. Till next time.
Till next time. Bye, everybody.